The first time she called me the help in my own kitchen. I almost dropped my husband's porcelain mug. She was leaning against my counter, barefoot, comfortable, scrolling on my tablet like she'd paid the mortgage. "Could you wipe this down?" she said lightly. "Some people miss spots. Some people—" My son stood behind her, quiet. He said they'd stay 2 weeks, just temporary. But temporary had already unpacked itself, and I wasn't going to lose my home politely. Before I tell you what happened next, thank you for being here. If you're watching from somewhere out there in the world, tell me your city in the comments. I truly love seeing where we're connected from, and if stories about family, boundaries, and quiet strength mean something to you, consider subscribing. You're always welcome at this table. Now, here's how it really began. My name is Diane Mercer. I'm 68 years old, and I've lived in this brick ranch outside Street Lewis for 34 years. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every tax bill after Tom passed. I signed them myself. Tom and I bought this house when Ethan was 6. The backyard felt endless back then. He used to run through the sprinkler until sunset, shrieking like the world couldn't possibly hurt him. I can still see Tom on a ladder, paint roller in hand, pretending he knew what he was doing. Sage green cabinets, crooked at first. We fixed them together. After Tom died, the house got quieter, but it never felt empty. I kept my routines. Coffee at 6 a.m., local news low in the background, grandfather clock ticking steady down the hall. That clock never rushes, it just keeps time. Ethan is my only son, 35 now, smart, soft-hearted, the kind of man who assumes good intentions. I raised him that way. Sometimes that's a gift, sometimes it's expensive. 2 weeks before everything shifted, he called me on a Thursday night. "Mum, Sierra's lease ended early. It's complicated. We just need a couple weeks." I didn't hesitate. "You can come home." You don't stop being a mother at 68. They arrived Saturday evening. 1 suitcase for him, 3 for her. Sierra hugged me quickly. Light, airy, like we'd met at a conference. "Thank you for having us," she said. "Not thank you for opening your home, just having us." Small difference, but I noticed. The first night was easy enough. Pizza boxes on the counter, Ethan laughing the way he used to when he was 20. Hopeful, relaxed. I let myself believe it would be simple. Sunday morning, I woke at 6:12 a.m., like always, slipped on my robe, padded into the kitchen. She was already there. Phone propped against my fruit bowl, ring light glowing. "Morning, guys," she chirped into the camera. Living with family is such a reset moment. She didn't look up when I entered. My coffee mug was in her hand, not Tom's porcelain one, mine. Still, I waited for her to acknowledge me. She kept filming. That was the first shift. Quiet, almost polite. By Monday, things had moved. My wooden spoon crock gone. Radio unplugged. Dish soap replaced with something that smelled like eucalyptus and criticism. On my refrigerator, taped neatly. No dairy, no sugar, no toxic oils. My butter sat in the trash, wrapped carefully, as if it had offended someone. I held it for a second longer than necessary. When I asked about it, she smiled gently. "It's for our health." "Our." Ethan shrugged. "It's temporary, Mom." Temporary, that word again. Tuesday, packages started arriving. Addressed to Sierra Bennett. Not care of, not temporary. Just my street address in bold black ink. A white storage cube, a faux marble desk. A neon sign in cursive that read, "Good vibes, only." She leaned it against the wall, blocking the grandfather clock Tom restored the year before he died. "That clock's kind of creepy," she laughed. "Feels like it's counting down." "It is," I said quietly. "It's called time." She laughed. Ethan didn't, but he didn't move it either. That evening, I cooked something elaborate on purpose. Coq au vin, linen napkins, wedding china. Not to impress her, to remind myself. Halfway through dinner, she set her fork down. "We were thinking it might make sense to take the master bedroom," she said casually. "The light's better. And the stairs. Might be hard for you. Hard for me." I folded my napkin carefully before speaking. "My bedroom isn't up for discussion." Ethan cleared his throat. "Maybe we could rotate?" "No." I didn't raise my voice. But the air tightened. For the first time, her smile didn't reach her eyes. Later that night, I passed their room and heard her whisper, "She's going to need help soon anyway. If she signs something, temporary authority, it's safer. Safer." I stood in the hallway, one hand resting on the wall. I didn't knock. I didn't interrupt. I went back to my room, opened the cedar box in my dresser, deed, insurance papers, Tom's will. I checked every page. Still there. I sat on the edge of the bed and folded Tom's old flannel shirt across my lap. I didn't feel furious. I felt aware. This wasn't about butter or furniture or aesthetics. She wasn't unpacking clothes. She was unpacking position. And my son didn't see it. Not yet. I lay awake listening to drawers open upstairs, listening to footsteps where they didn't belong. For the first time in 34 years, my house didn't feel fully mine. And the peace I'd protected for decades was already slipping through my fingers. By Wednesday, it stopped feeling accidental. I opened the pantry and just stood there. My mason jars were relabeled in her handwriting. My flour moved. My spices alphabetized like I was running a cafe. My cookbooks were gone. I found them boxed in the hallway. On top, a sticky note. "Donate." I ran my thumb across the edge of one book. Grease stain from 1998. Ethan's favorite chicken pot pie recipe inside. "She thought no one needs that much saturated fat inspiration," Ethan said quietly from behind me. I lifted the box, carried it back to the shelf, placed each book exactly where it belonged. She leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You're very attached to things," she said lightly. "Yes," I answered. "I am." That should have ended it. It didn't. That afternoon I walked outside and heard her laughing over the fence with Mr. Callahan. "We're planning some long-term renovations once everything settles," she said brightly. "Long-term." I stepped closer. "I'm not remodeling," I said. Her smile tightened just a fraction. "We're just exploring options." "We." That word kept trying to erase me. Thursday evening, she suggested something new. "Maybe we should formalize the arrangement," she said, sliding a printed document across the kitchen table. "Just a simple occupancy agreement, so everyone feels secure." Secure. I didn't touch the paper. "Why would you need that?" I asked. "It protects all of us," she replied smoothly. Ethan looked uncomfortable. "It's just paperwork, Mom. Paperwork is never just paperwork." I folded the document in half and handed it back. "No." That night, I started writing things down. Dates, times, mail in her name, packages delivered. I wasn't sure what I was building, but I knew I would need it. Friday morning, my phone buzzed while I was watering the hydrangeas. "Attempted login to your bank account." My stomach didn't drop. It cooled. I changed every password, every device. When I walked back into the kitchen, she was sitting at my laptop. "Password?" she asked casually. "That's not yours. Mason said you don't mind sharing." "I mind." Her expression shifted. Not dramatically. Just a millimeter. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I didn't respond. That night, I went to bed early, or pretended to. At 11:43 p.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Soft, measured. Then my office door handle. It turned. Once. Twice. I watched the red recording light from the hallway. Camera blink softly in the dark. I didn't open the door. The next morning, I checked the footage. clear as glass. She tried the handle, paused, looked toward the stairs, tried again. That was the moment something inside me stopped negotiating. Saturday afternoon, I noticed my sapphire ring was missing. Not expensive, just my mother's. I searched the bathroom, the bedside table. Then I checked the footage. At 2:16 p.m., while I was in the garden, she entered my bedroom, closed the door. 8 minutes later, she left. Her hand brushed her tote bag. I waited until Ethan left for the gym. Then I knocked on their door. "I'm missing a ring," I said evenly. "That's unfortunate," she replied, without looking up. "You were in my room. I was looking for towels. In my jewelry drawer." Now she looked at me. "Are you accusing me of stealing?" "Yes." The word didn't shake. She stood. "You're unbelievable. Empty your bag." She laughed once, sharp, then dumped the main compartment onto the bed. Nothing. She looked almost pleased. I unzipped the side pocket slowly. The sapphire ring slid into my palm. Silence. Heavy. Still. Her face didn't crumble. It recalculated. I found it on the floor. I was going to return it. "You were leaving in 20 minutes, I said." Her voice lowered. "Careful, Diane. No sweetness now. Just threat." When Ethan came home, she was already crying. "She went through my bag," she said softly. He looked at me. "Mom?" I retrieved my property. "She's recording me," Sierra added. "Yes," I replied. "In shared spaces. What cameras?" "In my house." "This is insane." "No," I said quietly. "This is documented." She wiped her tears too quickly. "I feel unsafe here," she whispered. "Unsafe. In my home." Ethan stepped between us without meaning to. That hurt more than the theft. But that wasn't the worst part. That night, I heard her again through the vent. "She's isolating you," she murmured. "She doesn't want you building anything of your own." I stood in the hallway, hand flat against the wall. I didn't feel rage. I felt replaced, rewritten. Sunday afternoon, I came home from the store. Cars lined the curb. Music inside. 6 strangers in my living room. Wine glasses balanced on my Persian rug. "She invited some people over," Ethan said weakly. Sierra smiled brightly. "Just networking. In my house, without asking." I set the grocery bags down carefully. "This evening is over," I said. The guests exchanged awkward looks and began collecting their coats. After the door closed, her smile vanished. "You embarrassed me. You embarrassed yourself." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "This isn't sustainable." "No," I agreed, "it isn't." That night, my bedroom door handle turned again. Harder. The lock held. The next morning, the footage confirmed it. 2:03 a.m. clear. That's when the last part of me that wanted to keep the peace quietly stepped aside. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg my son to see. I was going to protect what I built. Calmly. Legally. Completely. And that's when I knew I would not stay silent again. After the ring, the air changed. Not louder, thinner. Sierra stopped crying. That's how I knew something had shifted. Real hurt lingers. Strategy dries its tears quickly. For 2 days, she barely spoke to me. Stayed upstairs. Whispered to Ethan late at night. I'd catch pieces through the vent. Control issues, emotional intimidation. She's escalating. Words chosen carefully. Like she was laying tile. Ethan stopped lingering at the table in the mornings. Finished his coffee standing up. Phone in hand. Avoiding my eyes. I washed dishes slower than usual. Not because they needed it, because I was thinking. Friday morning, I found an envelope on the counter. Inside $200 in crisp bills. A note. For utilities, S. I didn't touch it. When Ethan came downstairs, she made sure he saw it. "I don't want to freeload," she said softly. "I contribute. Contribute. If I accept that, I said calmly, it can establish tenancy. Ethan frowned. It's just money, Mom. It's not. Sierra tilted her head. You'd rather struggle alone. I folded the envelope once, then handed it back to her. I'm not struggling. That night, I lay awake, watching headlights sweep across my ceiling. The house felt like it had invisible tape down the center. My side, theirs. The next morning, my office drawer was slightly open. I never leave it like that. Inside, my deed had been moved, not stolen, shifted, subtle, intentional. I didn't accuse her. I knocked on their door. Stay out of my office, I said. She blinked slowly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Good, I replied. Then it won't happen again. Her smile lingered a second too long. Saturday afternoon, something else changed. My knife block was gone. In its place, a magnetic strip drilled into my backsplash. Tom's Italian knives displayed like decor. You drilled into my tile, I said quietly. It's temporary, she replied. Take it down. No. Simple. Clean. Ethan stood between us again. It's not a big deal. It was, because she hadn't asked. That evening, she stood under the hallway camera and waved at it. Slow, deliberate. I hope you're getting a good angle, she said. She wasn't embarrassed. She was building a narrative. 2 days later, I found a screenshot taped to my office door. A post. My living room in the background. Caption. When older relatives weaponize legal threats. Hashtags. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I printed a copy, placed it in my folder. Pattern. The first patrol car came that Tuesday. No sirens, just presence. 2 officers stepped into my kitchen. Sierra's voice trembled perfectly. She installed cameras everywhere. She's trying to illegally evict me. I kept my hands folded on the table. I am the homeowner, I said calmly. She was served a 30-day notice. Lease? One officer asked. No. Rent? No. How long have you been here? He asked her. A little over a week. Silence. The officer nodded. This is a civil matter. After they left, the house felt hollow. Ethan stared at her. You said you felt unsafe. I do, she snapped. He didn't argue, but something in his face changed. That night, I didn't sleep much. Not from fear, from understanding. She wasn't arguing to win. She was gathering pieces. If she could paint me unstable, retaliatory, hostile, the eviction could look like abuse. At 3 a.m., I brewed chamomile, sat at the kitchen table. Grandfather clock ticking. I remembered working double shifts after Tom died. Remembered skipping vacations to keep this house paid. Remembered telling Ethan, this will always be your safe place. And now I was being reframed as the threat. By Sunday, a certified letter arrived. Formal complaint of harassment, dated for tomorrow. She'd written it early. I held the envelope in my hands, then smiled. Sloppy. I walked upstairs. You're rushing, I said calmly. She blinked. What? The date on your complaint. Clerical error. No, I replied. Timeline error. Ethan looked confused. Why would you predate something? She snapped at him. That was the first visible crack. That afternoon, I noticed the rental truck parked down the street. Empty. Waiting. I stood at the window longer than I should have. She wasn't improvising anymore. She was preparing leverage, and something inside me shifted from emotional to strategic. I didn't feel furious. I felt focused. If you're still here, thank you. Not all battles are loud. Some are fought in folders. I began to think, very carefully. I didn't confront her about the rental truck. Not yet. Sunday morning, I made waffles. Real ones. Butter melting into the edges. Blueberries simmered down with a little sugar. The smell filled the kitchen. Sierra didn't touch them. I don't do gluten, she said, sipping something green from a mason jar. Ethan looked tired. Can we just reset? He asked quietly. It will reset in 25 days, I replied. She leaned back in her chair. Or sooner. Sooner. That word stayed with me. That afternoon, I drove downtown to see Marina. I didn't dramatize it. I just laid out the facts. Mail in her name. Money offered. Police visit. Ring. Attempted access to my accounts. Predated complaint. Marina listened without interrupting. When I finished, she folded her hands. Do not accept money. Do not sign anything. And don't react emotionally. Let her escalate into her own mistake. Let her escalate. I nodded. When I got home, I moved quietly, changed passwords again, transferred original documents to a safe deposit box, backed up camera footage to a separate drive, printed still frames, labeled everything, dates, times, incidents. I didn't tell them. There's a certain kind of power in silence. Sierra noticed my calm. That unsettled her more than anger would have. You think you've already won, she said one evening, standing in my doorway. I think I'm prepared, I answered. She studied me. People sign things under pressure. I don't. She held my gaze a moment longer than usual. That night, I heard her on the phone. I'm not leaving empty-handed, she whispered. There it was. Not heartbreak, not fear. Leverage. Monday afternoon, something changed. The mail stopped coming in her name. No new packages, no certified letters. That told me everything. She wasn't building tenancy anymore. She was preparing exit strategy. And then it happened. I came home from Marina's office and felt it immediately. Stillness. Wrong stillness. The Persian rug was gone. Tom's refinished side table gone. 2 dining chairs gone. I didn't run. I walked outside. The rental truck door was open, half filled. My rug inside, my table, my chairs. Sierra stood beside it, arms crossed. We're preparing for transition, she said. That furniture isn't yours. It's part of the shared living environment. No, I replied evenly. It's mine. Ethan came out of the garage, face pale. Sierra, stop. She's forcing us out, she snapped. You're stealing, I said quietly. Prove it. I took out my phone. Hit record. No yelling. No theatrics. Today is October 12th, I said clearly. Personal property is being removed without permission. She stepped closer. You think that solves everything? No, I said. It clarifies. Ethan climbed into the truck himself, lifted the rug slowly, brought it back inside. His movements were heavy, thoughtful. She watched him like she didn't recognize him anymore. You're choosing her, she said. I'm choosing reality, he answered. That was the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. Not fear of me, fear of losing control of the story. When the last chair was returned, she looked smaller, strategically smaller. This isn't over, she said. I know, I replied. Because earlier that morning, I had already filed the formal notice with the court. She didn't know that yet. I didn't tell her. That night, I sat at the kitchen table and folded Tom's flannel shirt in my lap. I thought about that first morning, the first time she called me the help in my own kitchen. Back then, I almost swallowed it, almost told myself I was being sensitive, but I wasn't. I was being displaced. Power doesn't shout, it documents. The stage was set. All I had to do was wait. The hearing was scheduled for Tuesday. Grey morning, light drizzle, the kind of day that doesn't pick a mood. Sierra dressed like she was attending a panel discussion, cream blazer, hair smooth, chin lifted just enough. Ethan looked like he hadn't slept. I wore navy slacks and the pearl earrings Ethan gave me years ago. Not armor, just myself. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, low hum of paperwork. No drama, 17 minutes. That's how long it took. The judge asked for the timeline. I didn't tell a story. I listed facts. Mail received in her name. 30-day notice served. Police visit. Unauthorized key duplication. Attempted removal of property. Each backed by printed stills. Timestamps. Certified filing. No emotion in my voice, just sequence. Her attorney tried to soften it. She contributed to the household. For 11 days, Marina replied evenly. The judge raised an eyebrow. Sierra was asked directly, "Did you duplicate a key to a locked office?" A pause. "Yes." "Did you remove furniture not purchased by you, temporarily? For what purpose?" "To secure shared assets." "Were those assets yours?" Silence. "No." The judge leaned back. "This court finds no established tenancy. The notice to vacate stands. 72 hours. 17 minutes. Outside the courthouse, the rain had stopped." Sierra turned to Ethan. "You let this happen." "I didn't," he said quietly. "You did." She didn't look at me, not once. Back at the house, she packed methodically. No shouting, no tears, just zipper sounds and drawer slides. I stood at the kitchen sink washing a single plate longer than it needed washing. At one point, she stopped under the hallway camera, looked up at it, then at me. "You enjoyed this?" I dried my hands slowly. "No," I said. "I endured it." Her jaw tightened. "You'll be alone." I let the silence sit between us. "Alone isn't the threat," I said. That landed. Ethan carried her last suitcase to the car. When she reached the front door, she paused. For a split second, something unguarded crossed her face. Not strategy, not calculation, just loss. Then she stepped outside. The door closed softly. No slam, no scene, just finality. Ethan stood in the entryway, staring at the rug. "I didn't see it," he said. "I know. I thought you were overreacting." "I know," he swallowed. "I feel stupid." I picked up the folded dish towel and set it back in its drawer. "Good," I said gently. "That means you're learning." That night, I made tomato soup, set 2 bowls on the table. We ate quietly, no tension, no accusations. Just the clock ticking, steady. And in that silence, I finally felt free. The first night after she left, the house didn't feel triumphant. It felt steady. I walked through each room slowly, ran my fingers along the back of the dining chairs, straightened Tom's picture, smoothed the corner of the Persian rug with my palm. Small movements, but they mattered. Upstairs, the spare room still carried a faint trace of her perfume. I opened the windows wide, let October air push through, stripped the bed, folded the sheets neatly, not angrily, just thoroughly. In the closet, I found something she'd left behind, a folder. Inside were printed property value estimates for my house, notes scribbled in the margins, equity leverage, joint claim if cohabitation extends. I didn't gasp. I didn't shake. I closed the folder and carried it downstairs, placed it in front of Ethan. He read in silence, his shoulders dropped. "She was planning something," he said quietly. "Yes." He sat down hard in the chair. "I almost signed something she drafted," he admitted. "She said it was just shared budgeting." "Did you?" I asked carefully. "No. Relief is quiet when you're older. It doesn't shout." That night, Ethan stood in my doorway. "Are we okay?" he asked. "We will be." He nodded. 3 days later, he packed a suitcase. Not because I asked, because he needed distance. "I need to reset," he said. "I know. I'm not going back to her." "That's your decision. Growth doesn't prove itself with promises. It proves itself with space." When the door closed behind him, the house settled again. Not empty, just honest. I brewed coffee the way I like it, real cream, turned my old radio back on. Let it hum while I stood at the sink. The grandfather clock ticked down the hallway. Steady. I thought about that first morning, The first time she called me the help in my own kitchen. Back then, I almost swallowed it. Almost told myself I was overreacting. Almost chose silence. But silence is expensive. And at 68, I've already paid enough. Love does not require surrender. Motherhood does not require shrinking. Age does not require apology. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. I didn't win a war. I protected a home. There's a difference. Peace feels different than revenge. Quieter, warmer, earned. And now, when I walk into my kitchen at 6:12 a.m., it feels like mine again. If someone treated you like a guest in your own home, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments. I truly read them. And if this story reminded you that boundaries matter at any age, share it with someone who might need that reminder. If you'd like more stories like this, you're always welcome here.